Pikmin 3's Collect Treasure missions are a series of challenges in which the player must gather up as many fruits, nuggets, and enemy corpses as possible within a strict time limit and a predetermined set of Pikmin. But what if we made these levels twice as hard, by doubling the weight of every single object? What this means is that fruits that would normally require 1 Pikmin to carry now require 2, and fruits that would normally require 10 Pikmin to carry now require 20, and so on. The only exception is smaller objects that don't follow the normal carrying rules, such as nuggets, bridge pieces, and the dawn and dusk pustules. Those are still collected as normal. My goal in this video today is to try to collect everything and earn a platinum medal in all 15 Collect Treasures levels, even though it takes twice as much Pikmin to carry anything back. Oh, and an unintentional add-on to the challenge is that I'm playing on the Wii U version of Pikmin 3, which, compared to the Switch version, the enemies have much higher health, making them harder to defeat. In this video, I will be breaking down the strategies I use to beat each level, so if you just want to watch the gameplay without all the yapping, I have a video of just my successful attempts at this challenge put together on my channel, and it will be linked in the description below if you're interested. So, with all that being said, if you want to see more Pikmin content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, onto the video. First up, of course, we're starting with the Tropical Forest. This level is kind of intended to be a tutorial of sorts for mission mode, with it being the first level available, so it's pretty small and there's not anything too crazy. At first, I was still getting used to everything being different weights, and I didn't really account for how many Pikmin I would truly need for things. The larger objects on this level that I had to worry about the most were the 2 Bulborb corpses, weighing 20 and 24 respectively, and the insect condo weighing 20. On my first attempt, I ran out of time because I didn't really account for all the extra Pikmin needed to clear out the large objects, so I missed quite a few things and only earned a silver medal. Not even earning a gold medal on my first try definitely made me feel a little bit less confident. However, on my next attempt, I was able to get platinum since I had some practice. First, I started some Pikmin on the upper nuggets and began gathering some of the smaller fruits near the ship. Since I had grabbed some rock Pikmin from the nuggets, I was able to clear out the crystal room early and was also able to kill the Medusal Slurker quickly with the rock Pikmin's higher attack. I then put some Pikmin onto the bridge pieces as soon as possible, since it makes taking things back to the ship much faster, and I started some Pikmin on breaking each of the crystal walls. Once I regathered all of my Pikmin, I immediately prioritized the Whiptongue Bulborb room, since it was the heaviest object on the map, and I wanted to get it out of the way as fast as possible. While the Whiptongue was on its way back to the ship, I cleared out all the enemies in the fire room before doubling back and attacking the other Bulborb. After that, most of the heavy objects were dealt with, so I could just go back and clear out all of the smaller things that had been left around, such as the Cupid's grenades and sunseed berries. Finally, the last fruit I got was the insect condo with my remaining Pikmin. This allowed me to complete the level and get a platinum medal with 26 seconds left over. Next is the Silver Lake, and this one has some tough sections. There's some larger fruits under the water that require blue Pikmin to carry out, as well as larger fruits all the way at the far end of the map that need to be carried all the way around to the ship. Luckily, there's 10 total purple Pikmin to use for the larger objects, so anything above the water wasn't a huge issue. On my first couple attempts, I ended up getting super close to platinum, and I just ran out of time with only a couple of small treasures or nuggets left over. The strategy that worked best for me was as follows. I first got some blue Pikmin to work on the bridge pieces and the wall in the landing area, before then throwing 1 captain into the water and 1 captain over to the yellow Pikmin enclosure. I used the yellow captain to start unearthing the nearby fruits and breaking the electric gate. I also made sure to throw some Pikmin over the gate for the other captain to put on the second electric gate, so that they could both be broken at the same time. For the captain in the water, I gathered all of the blue Pikmin and eventually made my way into the very deep area to start carrying fruits back from there. Meanwhile, with the starting captain, I used the 3 purple Pikmin from the enclosure near the landing site to start carrying the very far fruits near the other end of the map early so that they would have plenty of time to carry them all the way around. I also made sure to get the white Pikmin started on carrying nuggets, since they are the fastest. Once the second electric gate was broken, I had the purple Pikmin and a few yellows start gathering the fruits, the yellows for digging speed and the purples for carrying. After that, it was just a matter of using the remaining blue Pikmin to finish clearing out everything left in the water and putting as many extra Pikmin onto the nuggets as possible. With this, I was able to beat the level with 22 seconds remaining. The third level is the Thirsty Desert, And at first I thought this one was going to be impossible, since the Joustmite would only let me put 12 Pikmin on it, despite weighing 14. However, this is another level that gives us access to some purple Pikmin, so I was able to come back later and collect it with a purple, meaning this level is still possible. After sending 2 of my captains to pluck the red Pikmin near the ship, I had one captain gather the winged Pikmin in the top area and have them take back the insect condo. The captains near the landing site worked with the land Pikmin to gather some of the stuff around there until the winged Pikmin came back, which allowed me to open the bamboo gate and unlock the second half of the level. I started clearing out that part of the level and made sure to make some purple Pikmin with the Candy Pop Bud, which allowed me to collect the Joustmite that was impossible without a purple. Next, I cleared out the upper island across the bridge and collected anything left on that side of the map. This allowed me to easily beat the level with 55 seconds remaining. The next level is the Twilight Hollow, and luckily this is another level that includes purple Pikmin, so most of the larger fruits can be carried with them. The tough parts for this level are the larger enemies because they drop a ton of huge fruits, like this Bulborb that drops 5 Sunseed Berries, and this Puffy Blowhog that drops 3 Insect Condos, which each weigh 20. There's also 2 large fruits in the water, which can only be gathered with winged Pikmin, which makes things a little tricky. At first, all I missed was 1 golden Sunseed Berry, because to be honest I forgot it was there, but I was able to complete this one on my second attempt. I had one captain break down each of these walls with winged Pikmin, and the other start on the electric gate with some yellows. I had that captain defeat the Bulborb and start bringing the corpse and some of the Sunseed Berries closer to the incomplete bridge. I then had the other captains start working on the bridge, which let the Pikmin on the other side cross once it was completed. I then had a squad work on defeating the Puffy Blowhog, making sure to give them lots of purple Pikmin to use for when it dropped the giant fruits. As all of this happened, I was also making sure to put lots of winged Pikmin onto the nugget piles so they had enough time to bring them all back. I cleared out both of the upper plateau areas with lots of purple Pikmin and gathered all the winged Pikmin I could to get the large fruits out of the water. With this strategy, I was able to beat the level with 48 seconds left. Now for the Shaded Garden. For some reason, it didn't record properly on my first attempt, so I only have the audio for it. I don't know why. However, on that attempt, I was able to get a gold medal, since all I had left over is 1 enemy. Overall, this level wasn't too difficult. I started by creating 3 squads, 1 with white Pikmin, 1 with blues, and 1 with all the rock Pikmin. I had the white Pikmin squad work on the nuggets and some smaller treasures near the ship, while the blue squad started breaking down some walls. I had the rock squad go all the way around to the other side of the map to break the crystals and defeat the enemies, which cleared the area out for all the other Pikmin to start collecting. After clearing out the walled off area near the landing site, I began carrying anything I could out of the water and put many white and blue Pikmin onto the faraway nugget piles, since the whites are fast and the blues can take a shortcut through the water. Finally, I cleared out the last big thing in the water, that being the insect condo, and then beat the level in 1 minute and 1 second. Alright, now let's be honest. Those first 5 levels are basically a warm-up. Next, we get into the remix levels, which are essentially harder versions of the first 5 levels, where all the treasures and Pikmin types are completely different. These levels are where things start to get pretty challenging, and I actually have to start thinking of clever ways to save time in order to beat them. And first up is the Tropical Forest remix. This level not only has a very large amount of nuggets and dawn pustules, but it also has quite a few larger treasures that take lots of Pikmin to carry, which effectively means we have less Pikmin to use on the large amount of nuggets. There's 2 Bulborbs that weigh 20, a fruit that weighs 20, and a fiery Blowhog and Wollywog that both weigh 10. On my first attempt, I managed to do pretty well, getting a gold medal, but I actually did worse on my second attempt with the silver medal, since I focused more on the bigger objects and didn't have enough Pikmin left over to carry all the nuggets. Eventually, I was able to find the perfect balance between putting Pikmin on large objects and putting Pikmin on nuggets, and finally brought home the platinum medal. First, I spent some time clearing out the enemies and walls before I started carrying anything back. I threw some red Pikmin from the top captain down to the ship so that I could get the pyroclasmic slooches out of the way, then used bombs to break down the first wall and to kill the orange Bulborb. Once everything was out of the way, I could start building the bridge, which was super important to get done quickly so I could start bringing back the nuggets. I then worked on the electric gate to the second Bulborb room and began turning some of my other Pikmin types into white Pikmin, which at this point I do at any chance I can get for the faster carrying speed. Once I killed the Bulborb, I was able to finish the bridge and start carrying everything back. I put the bulk of my Pikmin onto nugget piles and used about 20 left over to bring back the larger objects while the others worked. After everything was brought back, it was just a matter of waiting for the Pikmin to finish the nugget piles. I finished with only 5 seconds left over. Next is the Silver Lake remix, which is already notoriously difficult in its base form, but now I have to try to beat it when everything is twice as heavy. Some of the standout issues here are the insect condo hanging from a branch, because it takes 20 Pikmin to even get it off the branch, and also rock Pikmin don't work for that. And the corpses in the enemy pit area, since the calcified Crushblat takes 24 Pikmin to carry. Luckily, there is some purple Pikmin available to make things easier, but it's only 5 and they're locked behind both a bridge that needs to be built and an electric gate. At first, all of my attempts were getting silver medals, and I was starting to get worried that I wouldn't be able to beat the level. But finally, I got a run where I got a gold medal, and everything left that I needed was super close to the ship. And at that point, after 5 attempts, I was locked in, and I was able to get the platinum on my next try. First, I threw one captain and all of my Pikmin over to the rock sprouts and sent the first captain to go pluck some sprouts on the other side of the map. With all the reds and rocks with me, I could easily kill both Medusa's lurkers super quickly. I then used my rock Pikmin to start on the bridge and break all the crystals around the central area to create shortcuts for all my Pikmin. I also made sure to start Pikmin on the nuggets early so that they could finish before the timer goes out. I used one of the bombs from the crystals to defeat the cannon larva across the bridge, and used the remaining bomb and all the ones collected from the dirt mound behind the electric gate to clear all the enemies in the pit super quickly. And I even had an extra to start unburying the insect condo. With that, the whole map was available, and all the enemies were killed, so the last thing to do was to just go around and collect everything. The purple Pikmin were super helpful for this, since there was a ton of heavy things to bring back. I was able to beat this one with 14 seconds left. Then we have the Thirsty Desert remix, which is interesting because the majority of Pikmin available on this level are purple, so the extra carrying power helps make this one a little better. However, the problem is that most of the fruits here are designed to be collected with purple Pikmin already, so almost everything here is a super large fruit, which makes things more difficult. Another problem I encountered was this mock bottom in the water. Normally, you're supposed to use the pink candy pops around to create 10 winged Pikmin and carry it out of the water. But because it now weighs 20, it's actually impossible to collect. Even if I used every single pink candy pop bud on the entire map, it still wouldn't be enough Pikmin to grab it out of the water. So, unfortunately, getting platinum on this level is impossible. However, even with leaving this mock bottom, it's no walk in the park to collect everything else. My strategy was to have one captain gather all of the purple Pikmin on the map and work on collecting all the big fruits, starting with the ones furthest away. The other captain I had focusing on all the nuggets by creating some white and winged Pikmin to go faster. Honestly, there wasn't much more to it than that. Once the purple Pikmin had come back with everything, I made another trip out with a new squad to gather up the rest of the fruits, until there was no more left, while the other captain managed all the winged Pikmin and whites on the nuggets. Technically, I collected everything that I could with 48 seconds left. However, I still had to wait out the clock, since this one mock bottom is impossible to collect. The Twilight Hollow remix is pretty tricky because not only does it have quite a few larger enemies, but it has a ton of nuggets too. So, just like the Tropical Forest remix, I had to try and find a good balance between using Pikmin to carry treasures back and using Pikmin to carry nuggets back. First, I had each of my captains go and pluck some Pikmin around, and had the ones near the ship collect all the sheer grubs and bridge pieces nearby. I had the captain with the rock Pikmin go around and clear out all the crystal gates while also collecting all the Pikmin in the area. And once I had a strong enough squad, I used that to kill all 3 bulwarps and the cannon larva. I then started taking larger things back, starting with the ones farthest away from the ship. And meanwhile, I had another captain working on putting lots of winged Pikmin onto the nuggets. After taking a few more trips to gather all the treasures, all that was left was to make sure all the nuggets got to the ship, which left me with 8 seconds left over. Next is the Shaded Garden remix, which is honestly pretty similar to the regular Shaded Garden difficulty-wise. The only problems are this Snagret that has to be defeated and brought back, and lots of things in the water that need to be carried by the already limited amount of blue and winged Pikmin. Unfortunately, pretty much immediately, I found out that the lesser mock bottom underneath this flukeweed is impossible to get, since it weighs 6, and for some reason only 5 winged Pikmin will attempt to pull the flukeweed at one time. So, this is another level where the challenge is to try to get everything except one impossible fruit. But don't worry, this is the last instance of any impossible fruit you'll see from here on out. For this level, I started with plucking all the Pikmin near the landing site, then focusing on some of the nearby land enemies while I collect enough bombs to blow up the reinforced wall. I also got enough winged Pikmin to go through the bamboo gate, thus opening up the second half of the level and getting some blue Pikmin to start clearing out the water. Once I had a large enough squad, I fought the Snagger, which allowed my Pikmin to safely carry everything back. I also made sure to start breaking this wall, since it takes a really long time to break for some reason, and I needed to get the fruits behind it pretty quickly. After that, all that was really left was to carry everything back to the ship. I tried my best to get mostly blue or winged Pikmin to carry the treasures on the opposite side of the map so that they could take the shortcut through the water. I collected everything with 11 seconds left and then waited out the timer because of the impossible fruit. Then we're on to the last 5 levels of the challenge. These levels are the hardest of all to collect treasures, and with the 2 times weight, they're almost impossible. In the next level I'm going to be talking about, the Fortress of Festivity was no exception. This level has tons of huge fruits, namely all the insect condos, seed hives, zest bombs, and slapstick crescents scattered around. In addition to all these huge fruits around the map, there's also a ton of nuggets, and it takes a while to get all the Pikmin types, requiring you to throw different captains or go all around the map to collect them all. The most annoying fruits would be these Cupid's grenades in the water, because it takes multiple trips to get them all with the only 5 blue Pikmin available. And also the seed hive is annoying, because normally you would need to throw up 10 yellows to get it, but since the map only has 15 total and the seed hive weighs 20, the winged Pikmin usually used for the bamboo gate must be used to get it down. And for all these huge fruits around the map, the level only gives us 3 purple Pikmin to work with, making carrying larger things very difficult. After trying the level many times, it seemed like I would always have quite a few large fruits left over, and I was starting to lose hope. However, I eventually had a run where all I was missing was 4 fruits, which gave me the confidence to keep trying, and eventually I came up with a strategy that worked really well. First, I sent 2 captains over to the electric gate and threw 1 over to get the yellow Pikmin and start breaking it down. While that was happening, I used the 3rd captain to start collecting the Cupid grenades in the water, and used Go Here to go back and forth from the ship to the pond so I could do other things in the meantime. Then, with the captain behind the electric gate, I put all the white Pikmin onto the nuggets and headed on top of the cake to get the yellow Pikmin there started on the dusk pustules. It was pretty important to use the Go Here function when going on top of the cake, because once a captain was sliding down the Christmas tree, it would be impossible to swap and do other things at the same time, thus wasting precious seconds. Once the electric gate was broken, I sent the captain there to go meet up with the other captain on the cake, and I brought them over to get the rock and winged Pikmin. I also made sure to use some red Pikmin to start breaking down the dirt walls in the nearby area. By this time, I was finally done using the blue Pikmin to carry the Cupid's grenades out of the water, so I put the Pikmin onto the 100 nugget pile near the ship. I then used that captain to gather some white Pikmin behind the giant pizza box and put them onto more nuggets. Then, I used 2 captains to grab the 3 purple Pikmin on top of this box and put them on some nearby fruits after also putting some more Pikmin on the nuggets. Then, I could go around and gather some Pikmin that were done with their tasks, and I used them to get all the big fruits, starting with the ones farthest away from the ship, of course. I also got the seed hive needing both yellows and winged Pikmin and put the yellows onto the dusk pustules nearby afterwards. When I had a moment with a large squad of both red and rock Pikmin, I went on top of the pizza and killed the bug-eyed Crawmad. After that, it was just a matter of using the rest of my time to grab all the rest of the fruits and just pray that I had enough time and Pikmin to finish everything out. I just barely finished this level with 6 seconds left. This one was super fun to work on, and it was for sure one of the hardest challenges I've done. But of course, we're not done yet, and next up is a level that was honestly equally as hard. It's the rest yard, and while this level isn't too much of an issue normally, because of the way the level is designed, most of the heaviest objects are super far from the ship, and everything has to be carried all the way around either sides of this gap to get to the ship. It's also a super tight time limit, giving you only 7 minutes total to get everything. This one took me so many attempts to get right, and at first I wasn't even getting a medal, like not even a bronze. Eventually though, I started to get some silver medals, and I had some great runs where the only things left were a few fruits that were super close to the ship. And I started to believe that I could actually do it, despite my first few runs earning bronze or even less. The strategy that finally worked for me started with using the captain with the yellow Pikmin to gather the Pikmin around the landing site and start breaking the electric gate, while also making sure to throw some Pikmin into the dirt mound for some bombs later. With the Rock Pikmin captain, I broke some nearby crystals and killed the enemies near the starting area, such as the Swooping Stitchbug and the 2 yellow Wollywogs. With the first squad, I used 1 bomb to kill the Scutterchucks, 1 to kill the crystal with the Golden Sunseed Berry, and 1 to break the crystal with the bridge pieces, which I started a few yellow Pikmin on building. With the Rock Squad, I made sure to attack the Flint Beetle for nectar. Since every second counts, it was super important to flower as many Pikmin as possible to increase their carrying speed. With both Yellow and Rock Squads combined in the pit, I carried back as many things as I could from the Wollywogs, as well as started 5 yellow Pikmin onto the Dusk Pustules. I sent 1 Pikmin back to the ship while the other stayed in the pit, which allowed me to throw the Pikmin that came back to the ship to the other captain in the pit, which saved lots of time walking all the way back around. Then, it was mostly about using the Pikmin to carry everything back, since the bridge was now built. I tried to start with the heavier objects like the Insect Condo and the Bearded Amprat, and kept going back with each captain to collect everything else. I was just barely able to finish this one with only 2 seconds left. Another very difficult one. The next level to do is the Beastly Caverns, which is another hard one. Not only is there tons of large enemies in the caves that take lots of Pikmin to carry, but there's also this giant Wayward Moon that takes a whopping 40 Pikmin to pick up. I was super upset because I had a really good run going and ran out of time with only a few nuggets left over. First, I started by making a ton of blue Pikmin on the surface, to avoid destroying the reinforced wall closest to the ship, since I could carry everything in that area through the water and use the bombs instead for the other wall, which makes a shortcut into the caves. I then brought a squad of red Pikmin into the caves to the Bullbear room, and used the bombs inside to kill it quickly. I had the purples and a few reds carry everything back to the ship, and I turned some Pikmin into the whites to start on the nugget pile. Once the blue Pikmin were done on the surface, I brought them over to the water area in the caves to clear out all the nuggets and enemies, while I got the other squad to go into the other cave entrance and clear out the rest of the enemies in the caves. I also made sure to start Pikmin on the other nugget piles as well. After that, the only thing left to do was to grab the Wayward Moon on the surface and put extra Pikmin onto nuggets and treasures to make them go faster. I beat this one with 1 minute and 1 second left over. The second to last level to talk about is the Forgotten Cove, and it's definitely one of the harder ones. I actually had to beat it twice because the first time I got platinum, the video did something weird and didn't record again. Don't worry though, I beat the level again so you can have a visual. This level has lots of big fruits, and a lot of them are in the water, so it's even more difficult to collect since there's only so many blue Pikmin. It also has the giant Crimson Banquet, so of course that takes so many Pikmin to bring back. First, I collected the Pikmin near where each captain starts and began breaking the wall nearby with the land Pikmin. After that, I came over to kill the Swaddlepus and used a bomb to kill the fiery Blowhog. Then, I was able to start breaking another wall. With the blue squad, I grabbed the other 2 bombs and used them on the Toady Boister and the Water Dumbles to save time. Meanwhile, with the land squad, I killed both Medusa Slurkers and broke the electric fence in the reinforced wall nearby. I also made sure to gather all my Pikmin from the landing site. With all the blues, I cleared out everything left in the back pools. Once the electric gate was broken, I killed the Baldy Longlegs behind it with my yellow Pikmin. And in this fight, it was super important to not kill too many Pikmin, because I needed 30 in my squad in order to bring back the largest Crimson Banquet piece. Once everything was back, I brought the blue Pikmin over to the big pond and used all the land Pikmin to finish taking back the rest of the Crimson Banquet pieces. At the pond, I used the bombs to blow up some of the larger enemies and started some Pikmin on the nuggets. I also made sure to bring the larger fruits and enemies out of the water and left them onto the shore so that the rest of the land Pikmin could come by and take them back, while I did other things that required blue Pikmin. The rest of the time was then spent bringing everything from the shore back to the ship, which required multiple trips because of how heavy everything was. Finally, I finished with 9 seconds left. Finally, we have the very last level of Collect Treasures, the Clockwork Chasm. This level is pretty tough on account of it being fairly large and having lots of big enemies to defeat. It also has some big fruits, like the Heroine's Tear, which requires you to throw a captain and some Pikmin down off this ledge to collect, and the Pocked Airhead, which is buried underneath the sand. Luckily, we're given a full 13 minutes to collect everything, so it's totally doable. First, I had a captain go around and collect all the rock Pikmin on the map, leaving 2 for the other to get later on. Then, I had the other captain pluck some sprouts near the ship and then go around to the corner where the Toady Boister is. Once the first captain collects all the rock and red Pikmin around, I have them go up and defeat the cannon larva, which is pretty quick because of all the rock Pikmin. The second captain then continues around to the area with the Scutter Jugs, using the 2 rock Pikmin to defeat them. With this, there's exactly enough Pikmin to take both of the corpses back and put 10 Pikmin onto the Stellar Extrusion. I then have the first captain start unearthing the Pogged Airhead and breaking the wall that leads to the right half of the map. I then split back into 2 different squads, one with only blue Pikmin and one with all the rocks and reds. I brought the rocks and red squad over to the right half of the map and used them to defeat all the big enemies over there, such as the Wadopus, the calcified Crushblat, and the Cannon Larva. I then put all those Pikmin onto the Nuggets. Next, I have the blue squad finish grabbing everything from the top left corner area and made sure to put lots of Pikmin onto the Nuggets. While the rest of the Pikmin transfer Nuggets, I take the remaining blue Pikmin that have returned to the ship and start clearing out both water areas. All that was left after the Nuggets get back is to collect the 2 big fruits mentioned before and collect all the enemy bodies left over on the right side of the map. With this, I beat the final level in this challenge with 14 seconds left over. So in conclusion, can I beat Collect Treasures if everything weighs twice as much? Well, not really. There was unfortunately 2 levels that had an impossible fruit. Despite this, I was able to use the best of my Pikmin playing abilities to come up with a strategy to complete every other level, and still completed those impossible levels as much as I could without the 1 fruit. This was such a fun challenge, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching me go through all my strategies to try and beat these levels. If you have any other ideas for more Pikmin challenges for me to try, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching!